Hey, stupids. My name is Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. And with me, as always, is my sketchy friend Rob, drinking a cup of coffee right now. Make sure you subscribe to my stupid channel, our stupid channel, whatever. Subscribe to it. Like it. Put comments. Call Rob an a-hole if you want to. I don't care. You can do that.
Yeah.
Don't do not to me. To me, I'm very sensitive. I'll get very hurt. But to Rob, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. To just have at it.
I prefer they type it out.
Yeah.
I like it, but you got to take the time to type it. That's what I prefer.
For sure.
How could I do it any other way, Rob? That's the question. We wonder, how does Rob get the comments without the typing? Also, send us your stupid mullahs.
Yeah. Become a channel member, support the show on Patreon, all that jazz. That would be appreciated. And so anyways, today we're gonna do a prediction episode because tonight we're staying up all night. We're gonna do a Book of Boba Fett episode tonight at 1 a.m. So if you stay up, by all means, stay up with us and hang out, and we'll talk about the episode. But my buddy Star Wars Santa, whose show I just got off of like a few minutes ago, by the way, he's okay. Yeah, he's good. He's now his name is Darth Meniscus. He's a Sith Lord. I think he's gonna have to get a robot leg personally, but he's doing okay. He seemed in good spirits. He was taking Meg's abuse. I was helping him. It was a good time. But anyways, Star Wars Santa on his show has a Google Doc with the predictions.
Okay.
And then the predictions, it's for that episode only. And we like to participate. This is his prediction thing. So by all means, jump on to that and fill it out when you want to. You can fill it out with us right now if you want to. Me and Rob are gonna do it as a team. We're gonna talk it out. We're gonna weigh in our options. Now, really quickly, Meg is saying that dinner scene is episode 4. But what I have proposed is, what if Meg is tricking us just saying that to win the competition? So I don't know. She seems wily, and I'm not sure if
Here's my asshole take, a-hole take, right? A-hole takes from Sketchcraft. I believe Meg because I don't think Dave Klein would light a scene. The way that dinner scene is lit.
Shots fired.
What you mean?
Fired.
Man, I'm gonna anger some folks, but I like his work. I just don't think he'd make that kind of work, whatever that means.
I don't know what this
I like
means,
his work on other
that's
projects.
My reaction.
Soda and coffee? Should never mix. Never mix.
When I was a kid, my mom was watching Laverne and Shirley, and Laverne would drink milk with Pepsi. My mom's like, "Do you want to try it?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to try it." Oh, I love that shit. It made me so fat. I drank it.
I mean, it's essentially a root beer float, but
that's what it tasted like. That's what it tasted like. Yeah. No, I believe Meg for the record, and I am going to let that inform my decisions. Unless Rob,
and nothing's funnier than watching Japanese people try root beer. By the way, nothing.
Okay, so let me pull up that tab. And by the way, the link to this document is in the description of the video on YouTube. Anyways, I'm not sure what carries over to the various platforms when I shoot it out, and so we'll have to see what happens there. But this and you can see the results on Star Wars Santa's show. I'm gonna guess tomorrow, and on the bottom of his thing, he has like a running tally of everybody's score and stuff like that. So it's fun, It's a fun way of going about this, and we can.
Predictions. It's my favorite.
Love predictions. Okay,
I love it.
So, the Book of Boba Fett. The first one, is it a book? No. Okay. So my last episode prediction is that at the end, it's him at a typewriter and he's typing out his life story. Okay. So your screen name.
When the clones have fallen.
So,
And Moses was
Making
dying.
Star Wars. I'm gonna go Making Star Wars and a-hole. Is that hyphenated? Did you hyphenate when you got married? A-hole.
Oh no, I refuse my wife. I refuse her to change her last name. Her last name's better than my last name. You keep that.
Okay.
I'm adopted. Like what are last names? Once you're adopted, you're like, I just took the adopted name because my initials spell rad now. That's it. Before they spelled rag, and we had to put our initials on everything in school. So now they said rad, and it annoyed every kid who hated me that my initials were rad. and that's it. That's it. The names they don't mean anything. Are we transferring property title? Do we have lineages and shit? Like fucking who cares?
Yeah.
You could be a Ray Palpatine, become a Ray Skywalker just because you choose to. So.
Well, that's what I think is going to happen to Meg because she's Palpatining us or Order 66ing us with the fake info, and then we're going to make our predictions wrong. And then she comes out then and she says, "I'm Meg Skywalker," and we have to accept that because that's what you can do if you're a Palpatine.
I thought Order 66ing is when you send a lot of Papa Johns to the podcasters you hate. You just send a whole bunch of them.
The podcasters don't need any more pizza. Mark Hamilton, at the end of Star Wars.net show, I tried to say that Mark Hamilton was my Lobot as I was looking at Mike's message, and I'm all, Mike, you're my Lobot. I meant Mark is.
Oh,
and so now what? I have to break up with Mike Porter. I have to say, Mike Porter, you're not my Lobot. We're not.
You're my Nobot, not my Lobot. Yeah.
I mean, nigh and numb at best. You know what I mean? But
he can be your robot. He tries to get you on HGH and mushrooms and move to Austin.
Tonight, I believe we will be joined by Max Zandau, but we will be joined by our other friends
and her mom and her brother.
I saw James. James, will you be here tonight, James? His initials are jerk. That's cool.
Jazzy jerk.
My initials are just nothing. JWW. I'm JWW.
Right, are we ready to do this? Can we do predictions? Let's do it.
Oh, let's talk about my initials for a little bit.
No, let's do the predict.
Okay. All right. Okay. Boba Fett kills somebody. I'm gonna say he's gonna kill somebody because
hold on. Prediction number one. Hold on for this. You got to say prediction number one because you're just like Boba Fett kills someone. I'm like, that's news, or are we?
Oh, okay. I have to make it like more. Who was Nostradamus? Star Wars Nostradamus says prediction number one. And that's Boba Fett kills someone. Prediction one. And then I say because he exists in two timelines. Like he gets two timelines to kill. Like Fennec Shand doesn't get two timelines. No one else does for the most part. Fennec Shand gets a later timeline when she joins up with Boba. But so I think Boba. I think in every episode there's going to be action, and it's probably going to be Boba who does it. Right? Would you agree with that?
Okay. Question before I answer: does Harryhausen? Does Monster Sand Snake Snakenhausen, like Snakenhausen?
He was someone to me. The Kraken is someone to me.
Does that count as someone or something? I feel like Star Wars Sand is trying to trick us on technicalities. So
yeah, he is a trickster. He's a trickster.
Yeah. How does he get down that chimney when the chimney's like, I don't,
right.
Me, Grover, the entire Sesame Street crew couldn't figure because he's a trickster.
I'm gonna go with anything kind of sentient is a someone.
Okay. All right. So he killed a Harryhausen in the first episode.
So like killing a bantha, no, but killing something that has a head and eyes. When I say a head, I mean like a arms. That's a something. It's
throwing. Does throwing pikes off a train count as killing?
That's a really good question because in my mind, like their necks snapped, they were done. You know what I mean? They were done. They were just like,
isn't it great how in every movie you can just break someone's neck in one move? Like,
all right, let me ask you this:
everyone,
a nine numb and a Pike walk into a room, and the Pike takes its mask off. Who thinks the other one's hot? Do nine numbs think that Pikes are hot, or do the other way? Because like they're kind of similar in a way. So I kind of think that like they could definitely probably date, but one has to be hotter than the other one. I'm gonna go with Nyan Numb because personally those are some nice labia on Nyan Numb's face.
Do octopus think bass are ugly?
Oh, octopus want to get all 8 limbs up in a bass, in a sea bass. Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
All right, I'm gonna go. Yes.
Yeah, he's gonna. I mean, it would be a really boring episode if he does.
I would never underestimate.
never.
Okay, because you know what? Well. We didn't answer. Does throwing pikes off the train? Because if throwing pikes off the train counts as killing someone, then I feel they might go the opposite route and not kill anyone in the next episode.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say no.
But we have 2 timelines. We have current Boba in the city. We got Boba.
I'm not saying people won't die. I'm saying, will Boba Fett do it himself? That's 2 different things.
Don't you think he has to? Don't you think there has to be like that action in everyone?
All right. I'm gonna let you talk me into this one with the yes, but I'm putting an asterisk down so I can blame you if I get it wrong.
Okay. But let's take number 2 into consideration. Before we decide on one, let's take number 2 into consideration, and that's that Fennec kills someone, says Star Wars Nostradamus. And so with that in mind, Fennec didn't do anything last episode. She just was like, wow, get a little hot under the collar. She just had some like crappy lines and like kind of stood off in the corner. So like in a way, Fennec, if she doesn't do anything this time, she's really being sidelined and not really doing much.
Only thing that makes me think Boba will kill people is perhaps that scene we saw where he's trying to get the Slave One back, or he's like infiltrating Jabba's palace. He has to kill someone to get in that palace, right?
Yeah.
And I gotta assume that's in this episode. Like, otherwise, man, we're dragging that backstory out of ways.
Well, wait. Let's think about that moment for a second. Okay, so yeah, Bespin Bulletin, by the way, has a story that we'll get to here in a second. By the way,
these are funner.
Me and Bespin, we had teamed up in Fortnite the other day. We got first place out of 100 people. We went in there. He was Boba. I was Mando. We took him down together. It was pretty good. After that, we lost all our will to fight, and we just talked too much and got shot a lot. But it was the first one. Oh, it was on. Anyways, Did you hear the
Fortnite leak news that the turtles are coming to Fortnite?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my buddy's a big Fortnite guy. He sends me all this news as if I give 2 shits, but like,
yeah, that's cool.
And he knows I don't care. But he's like, "Look, we're getting this." I'm like, "I get it. You're getting everything, but okay, they're getting turtles."
It's so good, man. It's such a good game. I'm not even lying. No, Bespin Bulletin is not full of gas. Bespin Bulletin is dead on. Yeah, he mentioned something to me a few days ago and asked about exactly what he's talking about, and they came back from Christmas break in a really muted way, from what I was told. So I haven't read the report, but we will get to it. So we're gonna get right to it, okay? And I don't think any of this. I mean, I'm gonna say I don't think it actually pushes Mando necessarily, but we'll get to that because this show I still think is going to be in 2023, but a week
you
or
want me to take another
so,
a-hole take on it?
Yeah.
Can I say some stuff? My a-hole take is it won't push it back because David Klein doesn't take too long to work. He just gets it done. You know?
All right. Because we're okay. We're gonna pause our predictions. We're gonna go over to Bespin Bulletin for some Bespin breaking news. Is what we're gonna do.
A-hole takes. They're gonna get so tired of A-hole. They're gonna be like, we want something else now. We want like an L hole or a Q hole. Oh no Q hole. That's the worst.
I'm having, I don't know if it's me, but Bespin Bulletin is slowly loading up for me right now. So we'll just continue. It's been getting a lot of traffic. So anyways, okay, so Boba kills someone and Fennec. So someone's gonna kill somebody.
I'm gonna say yes, and then I'm gonna say no.
So you're gonna say Fennec still doesn't kill anybody?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I just feel like she has to do something, but okay. So, anyways, but I don't know, so I will go with your instinct on that one. Okay, so we will see Slave One. Now, remember, seeing Slave One could be anything. It could be in a flashback. It could be little Boba Fett going, "Daddy, come back!" You know, it could be anywhere in the thing, and we would that one would count.
Right, but my number one is based on the theory that I have that we're going to see that sneaking into Jabba's palace to get his ship back thing.
Yeah.
Or that the ship is there. And if he's not, I'm not saying there to get it, but that shot we saw where you could see his ship down there and he's like sneaking back and he's still in his raggedy onesie, which is weird because he's wearing the black robes now, right?
Yeah.
That is a weird, think about that scene. He's wearing the black robes now, but in that scene, he was wearing the tattered onesie. That is interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna ignore that.
well. So yeah. So the thing is that we have our flashback timeline has to catch up to around the Mandalorian's episode for him to get the Slave One, right? We have to assume that
I might be remembering the sneaking. He might be wearing something. I don't know. And I don't. My memory's hazy on that. I don't stare at these trailers.
Yeah. He's wearing the outfit that we see him introduced in Star Wars: The Mandalorian. So he's wearing his black.
Why would they go back further after? Okay, forget all that. I'm just gonna say yes. So I don't care if I'm wrong. So we'll go there.
Well, you think we're going to see Slave One?
Yeah, okay. Because I think that shot is in this episode. If I'm wrong, then I don't think Boba Fett will kill anybody. Like I think 1 and 3 for me, 1 and 3 are tied.
But we have to really be careful on this one because we end up in a space, I believe, where like when it asks us later on, is Din Djarin in this one? If the Slave One getting the Slave One back is back in this one, Din and Grogu are likely in this one too. The stuff is likely pretty close together.
No, I'm talking about we're going to see it in the flashback.
Okay, so you're just saying a Slave One appearance is likely no matter what the situation.
I think he might have to go to that palace and then he sees they're like dismantling his ship and he's like at it like that's, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of that thing. I don't think he's there to get the ship and his. Or maybe he needs a ship to get off world. I don't know, but like, I don't look. If you told me 3 weeks ago to predict where this story is going, like, would any of us be like, yeah, we're 2 episodes in, and we don't know. No one would have predicted that. So I'm gonna say yes because I think that shot or some version of it's in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the opportunity to see Slave One is still pretty ample. So I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna say yeah on that. Someone says Jabba in the episode. So far, it really hasn't let us down, has it?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, you want to say this is the one where they don't?
Yeah, because we have other Hutts now in the series,
right.
And so to bring up a Hutt that isn't in the series at this point is pointless. I think. They say the Jabba when they arrive, and then now we're talking about the new Hutts. You know, the twins.
So I got the main page of Bespin Bulletin to load up, but getting to the article, not going so fast at the moment. All right. So yeah, I know Bespin, if you're watching, you're gonna have to up that server. You're gonna have to pay more cash.
Oh no,
for a bigger server. Yeah. I'm just guessing because he's new to the website game. He's on like that $20 plan. That stuff doesn't work once you have like few people trying to connect at once. You have to go up to like $60 a month or something, probably. Whatever that plan is, somewhere around there. Ridiculous. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's me this time. Unless my video is going bad too, then it is me. Anyways, someone says Java, so we're gonna say no. Okay, dinner lunch with the Tatooine criminal underworld. Nope. We're gonna go with no. Nope. Meg. I think Meg settled that one. I believe Meg. I don't think she's.
You're just trying to blame Meg. You make your own choices. Be your own Dobby. Like.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I got it up. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna share that tab. Share another screen. Chrome tab exclusive. It would be cool if Bespin had like that voice where he was like exclusive. Okay, then let me read.
I want it in the Killer Instinct voice.
What's that
one? Killer Instinct.
Okay.
Exclusive.
So, and by the way, a weird thing, he was actually born Bespin Bulletin, not a screen name. And so that's his real name. The bulletins are brave.
I thought you meant in general, like he is alive, right? Oh, you meant that's his.
No,
That's his. All right, that's his whatever name is.
His name is Little Stevie Bulletin. Okay. Anyways, no. Last week, production on The Mandalorian season 3 was set to resume following the holiday break. However, when I spoke to Source last week, they informed me that the cast and crew had not returned to production due to the rise of COVID-19 cases in Los Angeles, spearheaded by the Omicron variant, and that the hopes were to return to work this week. Once again, I reached out to my sources for an update and was unfortunately told production had still yet to resume on the series and that no hard return date has been determined, but for the crew to be on standby. I was told that the pause isn't due to cast or crew members contracting the virus, but the decision was made to be on the safe side due to the rising cases in the area. However, the Omicron running rampant across the globe, more and more productions are being hit with pauses due to the outbreaks, with Star Trek Picard being the most high-profile case recently. And I've been told more productions are also hit the pause button that aren't publicly known at this time. The Mandalorian Season 3 reportedly began production late September at Manhattan Beach Studios and was scheduled to wrap in early March. Currently, there's no telling if Mando will still wrap on time, but you'd assume not. And with Ahsoka supposedly due to begin filming in March, there's a good chance that production gets impacted by the delay on the Mandalorian's production. Ahsoka, like the Mandalorian, is due to film at Manhattan Beach Studios, as well as the train yard location in El Segundo. Lead on the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, was set to film scenes on season 3 between gaps in the schedule for Last of Us series for HBO, but the postponement of the production is unclear this time if Pascal has managed or will manage to return. The Last of Us began filming last year and is scheduled to wrap in June. Cast and crew on HBO series began returning to Canada to resume filming last week, but there was no mention of Pascal. Yeah, they're just going to put that stupid helmet on somebody else and they won't see his face. The Last of Us is rumored to currently be filming scenes from the Left Behind DLC from the first game, which Pascal and his character of Joel will not be needed for. Safety of the cast and crew working on The Mandalorian is paramount, and I'm very happy to hear Lucasfilm and Disney are putting the well-being of their staff first. Me too. The Mandalorian Season 3 is rumored for a late 2022 release, and I doubt delay in production will hinder the release window. The Book of Boba Fett, for example, only wrapped in June and managed a fast turnaround, released its debut before December, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, and then make sure you give him a couple bucks here on his coffee page or Ko-fi page or Kofi Annan, whatever that guy's name was. Okay, and so
it's like, wow, that's a deep cut.
Deep cut. I follow politics from 20 years ago.
Right. Wow, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know my stuff, right, man. Anyways, Yeah. So when
Big
it comes
murder
to
in Aruba too. You know,
I honestly I really don't think it's likely going to be that big of a deal. Usually, in my opinion of observing the productions, when they are filming, you might have some. Bestman's like, I like how you got the site to load. I can't even get it to load. Yeah, that was the problem I was having over time. Like I said, it takes like that. It takes that $60 plan, man. Whatever the conversion rate is to pounds. Figure it out. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician.
3,000 pounds.
3,000 pounds. Right. Probably
you want Americans. That'd be a good Americans to guess the difference. You know.
Yeah. It used to be double. One time it was double, so I just still go with it being double, even though it's not. By the way, one time I ordered a burrata on September 10th from the UK. And then 9/11 happened. And it took burrata 6 months to get to me. Then randomly one day he did show up.
The gun?
No, burrata, like that dog-faced dude on the skiff from Power of the Horsemen.
I was like, you bought a weapon from the UK on the internet? And wow, I don't even know how any of that works.
So, anyways, depending on like one week or so of extra off time, I don't think it's going to impact. It depends on how long they actually like mute that, how long they like stay off of the production. If it goes like another 3 or 4 weeks, then we are into a place. But where I was going with this is that it usually, like I'd have a friend who did work near the stagecraft kind of jazz, right? And they would be working and there would be nothing going on in El Segundo. And when stuff was going on in El Segundo, nothing was going on at stagecraft. Like, you know, there were times when you would have second unit filming out there. But so my point is that it was likely to impact the schedule of Ahsoka more than anything. Like they may change who can use what at what time and stuff like that. But also something to consider is I heard that they were going to put more of the stagecraft jazz. A new volume or two were set to be made, which is going to be a lot of work for Southern California if that happens, supposedly. And so if that does happen by that point as well, that's something to consider. I think they got time. And also worth considering that if the visual effects for the episodes mostly are done already. You know what I mean? A lot of the heavy work is already done. So
you know what I like about the volume though for a piece of technology?
Yeah.
Is that even now in its infancy, when you're like, I think that's a volume shot, people don't know. Sometimes they know. Sometimes no, it's outside with blue screen. I got like my buddy who's a cinematographer thought for certain that the sand shots were volume. I'm like, that's outside. Like I explained to him, I'm like, no, Jason saw it. It's outside, blue screen. He's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, because sometimes you just can't tell. You think you do. So that's infancy technology, right? So if in its infancy with all we've seen, we're like, yeah, I think I can maybe because like then it's good tech. It's good tech. I'm not saying it has to replace reality where you're like, oh, we never need to shoot in real locations or it needs to look 100% realistic. What I'm saying is it just needs to look good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that means if they can produce good content on a budget or under budget, then man, oh man, that means we can get more good content. They can focus on the shit that really matters, which is like
sorry,
writing.
dude. I just found out I'm going to be a father again. Sorry, never mind. That was dumb. Go on. Santa's late.
Only people who've had children would get that joke. Because I had to do some real math on that. Some mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I like about it. You know, it's early tech, but it's good early tech. Like it's not. I mean, we saw green screen backdrops for the better part of 30 years, and you're like, yeah, you know, like that. Go watch Rebel Assault, a Let's Play of Rebel Assault sometime, and get back to me.
Or I mean, even Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, like when they're on the beach, or Goonies. You just see all of a sudden with this blue screen. As a kid, I was just like, "What is this?" Especially when
the
you
Goonies
see
one is weird, where the chroma is way weird too. Like it's like it's in another world. Like it is. It's so odd how that worked out.
Yeah, there's like times when I actually get, like kind of like it because it's so just off and has this like feeling to it that's maybe based in nostalgia. I don't understand, but
well, I feel that way about the liquid. Was it the smoke and liquid effect, the oil and liquid effect they use for like the rolling clouds in Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters? When you see the rolling clouds come out, like that's, and they would get a vat of like fluid and they would pour oil to create this net of a camera. And I can't find any fluid simulation that comes close to having that look. You
yeah.
know, like they can do it. It looks very pretty and well animated, but it doesn't look like that. And that has a look that I'm like, never get rid of that trick. Whatever that trick is, it works.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to the Bespin's like scoop there, I would say I think it's going to be interpreted as doom and gloom. And if that helps Bespin, people start reading his side more, then I'm all about it for now. But and he wasn't fear mongering in it. He wasn't like it's over.
But Quantum Mania was delayed from COVID, and then they're back on schedule. So people like these companies have figured out how to like deal, you know, and how to move production and prioritize. It's like movies aren't like, oh, everything stops because they're not filming the actors. There's a bunch of other shit to do, you know, and to prep and to move around and to, I mean, I'd hate to be the line producer, the cat who has to like figure out all the schedules and like coordinate, you know, that sort of thing. I'd hate to
like Rick McCallum, the glorified line producer. Remember Ben Affleck?
Yeah, the glorified line producer. So
every time I see Ben Affleck now, though, that defines him for me, by the way. I see Ben Affleck, I see him as Batman, and I'm just like, Batman's mad that Rick McCallum made some jokes about him 20 years ago. It's funny to me.
And Ben Affleck's like 6'5". Like, I just don't know. Like, you know, hey man, where does it cut deep? As I learned, I could get to the bullies. I'm not saying Ben Affleck's a bully, but the big burly guys, I was not a big burly guy. So
yeah,
I found out I could hurt their feelings if I just say the wrong thing, like at the right time.
Yeah, Marty, when it comes to Omicron, like there's a lot of data out there that's very confusing. Like a lot of the conclusions that are being made about it are based off of, I believe, South Africa. And they had a beta variant of it who passed through there. And on top of that, they are completely a different, their population is different in age than like the United States. So it's a really hard, like for us, it's like a hard kind of comparison to make. And also stuff with children is looking a lot worse, which is what bothers me the most. I've been like I'm about to lose my shit with school that my kids are at because I really don't really want them in school right now. But at the same time, I'm like, if this never ends, they have to go to school, you know? And so they are in school, and I kind of lost the vote on that between their mom and them. And so I was like, all right. And things looked better then. But my daughter's teacher left yesterday, and they put 15 kids into another classroom and the other 15 kids into another classroom. That means the classrooms has 45 kids right now in two of the classrooms. And they didn't say anything. No note went home. No, so I'm waiting for the principal to call me back. Cause not cool, man. But
wait till every elementary school goes to the auditorium format for teaching, right? Like, you know, like a professor room where it's a giant stadium seating with, you know, little professor way down there. No one's paying attention.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Jabo? Jarbo Catan. Do you think this new COVID shutdown restriction is going to give Lucasfilm an excuse to maybe delay some projects and work on them some more before filming? I mean, in the past that they have utilized such opportunities. Harrison Ford crashing airplanes, doors are falling on him and stuff. They're like, hey, let's just rewrite episode 7 and make her not a Solo. Let's change her name to Kira, you know, in the process. stuff like that. Like, I mean, things like that have happened, but Mando 3 already had time for revision, from what I understand, and so I'm not so sure on Mando, anyways. And we were always a bit iffy if Mando 3 would even happen in 2022. I personally don't really think it is, but the schedule has so far lined up with past iterations of it, and so I think that at some point they're going to have to start doubling up on Disney Plus content, like with Star Wars and Marvel. There at some point those things will have to overlap to some degree, and so maybe they're just going to have to accept that, and but
I do think there's only so much Star Wars content you can produce because again, it's harder. Like, for a Hawkeye, you can shoot in. Look, they didn't just shoot in New York. There's a lot of visual effects that go in there. Like the visual effects that went into Hawkeye, where they have like this skating rink plus the big tree. None of those things exist in the same spot. They didn't go and shoot down there. That is some fantastic visual effects work that gets no credit because no one can tell it's all assembled in the computer. We've put it together digitally, like so. But not everything has to be designed in a Marvel show in the way that like a Star Wars has to. Everything has to be figured out and designed. And if it doesn't, then we all complain that it looks cheap. So me included, I'm guilty of that. Like so
Eric, my buddy Eric Denton says we're in quarantine because the oldest one got COVID at junior high. We're all vaxxed. He's had minor symptoms. The rest of us are fine so far. We were notified on Wednesday. Sickness hit Friday night. Jeez, man. I hope he's cool. Hope everything's okay with you guys. Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, just in general though, just the anxiety of what it could mean. I mean, I could only imagine. So, but
I mean,
and for the record, I want to
we had to deal with as a kid. This is not, I mean, like we had nothing to deal with.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had endless nuclear war and stuff, and maybe I'll make it to the nuclear winter. We had that, I guess.
But you could forget about it. I
never did, though. I'm neurotic. No, I'm kidding.
You could. I'm kidding. I did. You know what happened to me is I would get really scared about nuclear war and all that. And then like Santa Claus the movie would come out. They'd have a Happy Meal at McDonald's. And I get real excited that there was a Santa Happy Meal for some stupid reason. The Santa Claus the movie Happy Meal promotion at McDonald's made me the happiest. I felt like there was Santa Claus at every McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right. Or the Halloween buckets would come out and I would just flip my lid. I could forget about the threat of nuclear war. But man, if there was like a ravaging, pandemic for 3 years, I mean, that's like third grade to the sixth grade now. Like that's, I don't know, man. Like,
yeah.
My only, if there's any silver lining to this is that we'll have a generation of kids who take real healthcare seriously. Like having not access to healthcare, but having healthcare and funding healthcare the way our generation was like fund the military,
Yeah.
So we'll be thanking healthcare workers and first and pandemic, people, whatever. We'll be thanking them for their service the way we do the military. Like,
Yeah, me and Eric, we used to get together, go to a McDonald's, load up on coffee or Diet Dr. Pepper, as I am addicted to it. And we'd hang out, and the kids would play in a play place, and we would just shoot the shit, talk about politics and Star Wars and stuff like that. It was a good time. And then COVID came along, and now the kids don't really get to do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like you can't go to a play place. It just kind of, in a weird way, is messed with us socially too, in ways that seem small, but at the end of the day, it was like literally how we spent a half a day. You know what I mean? Once a week, usually. It's pretty big.
My mother loved taking me everywhere, but when she took off, my father was, I don't know, like he told me he was afraid that the state would take me away if anything happened to me. I just think my dad was lazy. Like I even told him this. Like, I don't believe you, but my dad would just don't even go outside. I couldn't even go in the backyard without asking. So I was just stuck indoors. And I gotta tell you, I went from being like I won't say popular, but a super sociable kid who was out in the playground, probably would have been on sports, to like, I didn't talk to people, like, I mean, I really withdrew. It took from the third grade to my junior year in high school to fix that.
Yeah.
Like, it took a long time, like my father, I don't think he realized how much of an effect that had on me. So I'm very empathetic to kids who go through that. Like, solitary confinement is some of the worst things you could do to anybody. It's inhumane. So anytime someone's used to be able to just go places and they can't, they freak out. If it's for 3 years, I mean, I watched in basic training guys freak out just because they couldn't do whatever they wanted whenever they wanted to. It was the
That would
first
be me.
time.
I mean,
It
I
was
want
the
to
first
stay
time
up
they'd ever
and
been told
watch
no.
Adult Swim. What do you mean I can't?
Yeah, no, you go to bed at 8:30. You're in
Yeah.
bed and you're going to be up at 4 whether you fucking want to or not. And so some folks don't deal well. Basic training ain't for 3 years. I mean, yeah, so so it's just weird. I feel bad for kids right now. I really do. And then, that fear of, am I gonna die if I go to school? Is it gonna be the guns or the disease? Man,
Uh,
that's why it's like, that's why, at least though, the trade-off is we didn't have like Star Wars to look forward to 8 times a fucking year. Like, if there's anything to say, if you're a nerd, man, like, you're still getting cool nerd shit, so
yeah,
in a way that we never were. So
that's
that's
true.
cool.
So our Mr. Jarbo asks us, what makes a good actor to you guys? Be specific. I'm working on a paper on what makes a great performance. And I have to say, I mean, there's obviously, like, I think there's different kinds of good actors. Like I don't think Harrison Ford necessarily, for instance, has the arsenal of someone.
Cut out. Here's what will happen. I'll go full screen.
Gotta love when Melon kicks you down. Melon, you're the worst actor in this show.
You got to pay for that $60 plan, Jason. So
I got
you're paying for the $20
bulletin plan. I'm on the best bulletin plan. What do you want?
So, Bestman's like, that's right. Call me cheap. Fuck.
Yeah. So I think there's like charismatic kind of a charismatic personality that will allow you just to like get drawn into them and then follow them on the, and I think that's like Harrison Ford is that kind. Whereas like somebody like Robert De Niro, for instance, young Robert De Niro specifically, that's like a completely different like level of acting where the big scene in Godfather with the where he does the whole thing before the toilet scene with the eyes, all that shit, like that intensity, that like level of acting there is like literally is so powerful. So to me though, yeah. I'll say this one last thing, then you can go. For me though, what actually is a good actor is just somebody who lets you forget who they are, especially even if they're famous. And then you just go with the story. Like when I notice like the acting is good, and I'm noticing the acting is good, I wouldn't even say that's to some extent even bad acting at that point, because I'm noticing not the story, I'm noticing the actor.
Right. That also could be a symptom of sometimes an actor stands out in a production, like Primal Fear, right? Ed Norton stands out amongst everyone else. So it's like, so that's not always the case. But I agree with you on that. I would say a great example of this is a lot of people would say De Niro, back in the 70s and 80s is, the greatest, one of the greatest of his generation, right? But for me, the best De Niro acting, it's going to be controversial, but is in Jackie Brown. And I remember when Jackie Brown came out, I heard people go, he's not doing anything. De Niro's in there, and he should be saying all the witty lines and, doing the De Niro thing with the Tarantino dialogue. And here he is doing facial expressions and appearing. But that guy is selling, he's thinking. You can tell the character's thinking, and he's being that character. He's being an ex-con who is trying to do the right thing, you know what I mean? And then just keeps making all the wrong decisions. And then it spirals at the end of the film in a way that, like, I think is very, very, very believable and credible. Like, I think so long as an actor is allowing you to feel what the character's feeling, or what they intend the character to feel. If there's a transference, right?
Yeah.
Somehow, like, then however they get there, to me, is like, that's great acting. I want to be able to feel what they're feeling. When I feel like they're just doing what character moments are saying. You see it in a movie where they give a speech and they're trying to give that Independence Day speech, and you're like, this is, I don't fucking get this. But then there could be a small scene where, an easy pick is Morgan Freeman going to the library in the movie Seven. Morgan Freeman going to the library scene in Seven, where he's just doing his methodical little routine where he gets his books and his research, and there's this like poker game being played by the security guards. That what he's doing there is serious acting, but like, it's not like you're gonna win a fucking Oscar for that, right? You're not gonna be, oh, well, look at that acting. But I know now how that character feels. I'm getting a sense of his modus operandi, whatever, his method, right? Like, I feel now there's a transference where I'm also that character in that moment, like, I'm
And then
experiencing
do we care about range as well? Like, when you think of like Philip Seymour Hoffman and like Boogie Nights, and then Truman Capote, and he's completely like, he really rocked both of those roles, I think. And they're
Philip Seymour
different.
Hoffman in The Big Lebowski, or Philip Seymour Hoffman in Mission Impossible 3.
Exactly. No, exactly. I mean, that right there is a range, and like we went right to Harrison Ford and Robert De Niro. They kind of are always there's only there's a kind of a narrow spectrum of people who they play. Like they all feel like one human who could have been could have taken a fork in the road in life and become Indiana Jones or Han Solo or Jack Ryan. Like, it's not that far out, like, from what they are. And so I think, like, yeah. So I think body language really does matter.
2 points on that. So one, I would say that is, again, letting you feel the emotions of the character they're playing versus bringing myself to the role, and you're going to feel my emotions as I play this character. And so, like, the difference would be, like, go look at Bruce Willis in the 90s, where he's just moonlighting every role, right?
Yeah.
Like, until maybe Die Hard 3, where he's just like, now I'm moonlighting, but I'm really angry and surly about it,
Yeah.
And then he goes into his Unbreakable mode, where he's just going to be in Unbreakable for Sixth Sense mode, where he's going to be in Sixth Sense mode for every movie from here on out. As an artist, an illustrator, I always, the way I transfer that is that sometimes you get an artist who brings their style to a project, right? Where you're like, oh, now Jim Lee is going to draw Batman. Now Jim Lee's going to draw the Max. Now Jim Lee's going to draw the Turtles. And it's always going to be Jim Lee's art plus the Turtles. Sometimes you get an artist who comes in and it's like, I can tell they drew it, but when that artist works on the Turtles, it ain't going to be the same as when that artist works on, say, DuckTales. I can still see their hand. I can see how they think, but I'm not getting just this step and repeat, step and repeat, step and repeat. And look, to be fair, that is harder to do and not very intuitive. So I don't fault people who just bring what they bring to the table and that's it. Sometimes knowing who you are and what you do, and just doing it really well, is I don't need a lot of range from the B-52s.
Sure.
I don't need a lot of range from the B-52s, right? Like,
you could literally, I think, almost get the answer out of Nicolas Cage, because you look at Nicolas Cage in Pig, and you're like, this guy, he remembered he can act, and then Raising Arizona, you're like, whoa, it's amazing, and then you go into the middle of his career or other parts of it, and you're like, what are you doing? And it's just like, you could tell he just literally, when he wants to, he can act. Like, and so you can literally see the difference between somebody who can act and decides not to act in the same.
I wish I could do that with drawing. There's no way you can not draw. The only way you can get away with that, where you can just turn in whatever and people buy into your bullshit, is if you have the name. So I guess, like, Nick Cage was at that point where he had a name and you can just do whatever. But
yeah,
I know, like, for myself, I always think, like, myself, nah, man, every time I go to bat, I'm putting in way more effort than even pros at my level go, man, why are you putting so much effort? I'm like, because I have no choice. Like, I don't know how to, like, I don't have, some people aren't at that point where they can hit a mid-range. They have to put in the effort no matter what. And I think of those kinds of actors would be those TV people you notice. Remember when someone dies and you're like, I knew them from all these roles and I remember their face, but you can't remember their name. There's those people, and they're always fucking working their ass off, whether you realize it or not. I mean, the one I think of probably the most is, who's the actor who plays Mike Ehrmantraut on Breaking Bad? He's like that actor.
Yeah, he's one of those.
That guy's brilliant in everything he does. But I've seen all of Breaking Bad, plus all of Better Call Saul. I still can't remember his name. I feel so horrible about it. But like, there are those, because I think they're just working. And they're not, maybe they haven't got the leading role, whatever, but yeah, I think I'm with you. As long as you can feel what they're feeling, then man, they did a great job. Because how many people try, how many people really try to get a performance and you're like, I can't, this is embarrassing to watch. I can't feel anything. And it's,
I mean, like Kenneth brings up Tom Hanks, and it's like, there is a time when he's doing big and he's playing a kid, and then a few years later he's in Philadelphia. And then at the same time, though, I mean, I guess the question I kind of have almost is, do you ever lose to Tom Hanks? And so, like, in some ways, like, a good actor is just almost somebody who's highly likable at the same time, who's completely adequate, but just
I can tell you who loses to Tom Hanks. Like Shawshank Redemption lost to Forrest Gump.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, like, if you put Tom Hanks in Shawshank, would you get a good movie? Certainly. Would you get that movie? No.
And that's what's weird is like Tom Hanks, like, you can't take anything away from him. He's nailed it. He's hit a home run almost most of the times. I mean, there's you got your Joe versus the volcano. Let's not pretend like that didn't happen, because that happened. But I mean,
you want me controversial take? Yeah. I've said this before. I believe Carrie Fisher should have been the lead in The Burbs.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks should have been the straight man Carrie Fisher role. I think he brings nothing to that role.
Yeah.
I just
Great movie though.
Great movie, but I'm like, I need these two flipped, Like,
yeah.
Although, love him in Dragnet. Dragnet, one of the most underrated films of the 80s.
Yeah, like, I was thinking about Dan Aykroyd the other day. He's really he hasn't had that great of a career when you really get down to it. Legend.
Oh, he had if you ever want to see and feel empathy for Dan Aykroyd, go watch any of the interviews he did on like Arsenio or any talk show when he had to promote Nothing But Trouble, because he directed and wrote Nothing But Trouble. Yeah. And he knew it wasn't going to do, and he knew it was a weird, odd fucking film that was going to be hard to get into.
With a name that does not fit it whatsoever when you really get down to it. I mean, Nothing But Trouble should have been the name of The Burbs. Not right. Yes. I mean, but in a weird way, Nothing But Trouble and The Burbs kind of go together, actually.
They do. It's a weird genre of horror comedy that is neither horror nor comedy.
Yeah.
It is an odd. It's like that Joe, because we should put Joe Dante should be in a category all his own, really.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. It's entirely unique.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, you definitely have, we as humans tend to sometimes see personality as a good actor or as good acting, when, like Harrison Ford, sometimes he is really good in a role, but Harrison Ford is kind of always playing Harrison Ford. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
I just think like it's that emotional transference, and I can tell you, when you to bring it to Star Wars, like when I watch The Phantom Menace and I'm seeing good actors say lines, you know what I mean? And like, look, you can put a lot of special effects and music, and I can bring my own fandom to it and read into it. There's a lot of nonsense, but there's a moment where, like, when they're at the dinner table and Anakin says, no one could kill a Jedi. And then Liam Neeson says, I wish that were so. Like, people go, oh, you're reading into it. I'm like, no.
Just like that.
I felt
just like it.
I felt like he's looking back at his own life. And I felt I'm looking back at his own life, right? And there's a moment there. And so, like, anytime I feel like I can feel what the character's saying. That's probably my biggest gripe with the Solo film is I don't feel that from the lead actor. I don't feel what Solo's feeling really at almost any given point. I see him doing things and going through stuff and feeling things. I don't know if I feel anything of what he's feeling, as opposed to when Harrison Ford is trucking up his money and he's looking over at his 6-foot man dog and he's like, what? You know, like, I don't, and you could tell he feels bad. I don't care. I don't, you know, like you've ever left a friend to hang, you know, you're just like, oh, well, you know, I'm getting out. Like, I get you can say those things, but one has to feel that the character feels it or it's meaningless. So,
yeah. And to be able to be an asshole on screen and still be likable is a hard, rare thing as well. Harrison Ford has it. Alden Ehrenreich.
Or who's the guy who played Walter Peck? Right?
Yeah.
Like that guy, poor guy, said he had to quit from acting. You take a long break, right? Because people thought he was like a legitimate asshole because he's in like Real Genius, right? He's in Ghostbusters. And every movie, that guy's just an A1 asshole. And it's like, that's hard to play, you know? Like, super hard.
So, yeah, I don't know if we helped at all, but that is our insight, I guess.
My default answer to sum it up is anytime you want to make art, the difference between art and commerce is being able to feel the emotions that the creators intended you to feel.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to music and you wanted to project sadness, but you're playing, you know, you're playing Pineapple, you know, and I don't feel sad, then
yeah.
But if I can make you feel sadness even in a happy song, like sometimes geniuses, that's genius because the intention is there's a transference in art, regardless of whatever it is. I think that's important.
Yeah. I think one of the best definitions I ever heard for art was intention. You know, that's the difference between a thing and art. All right, so
we intend to finish these predictions.
We are gonna do it. We will do this. I promise. All right. I wasn't Houdini. Who was I? I was, Star Wars Nostradamus. Number 6. The Nikto gang attacks Boba's Tusken tribe. Do we think so? So Boba goes in, beats the shit out of those guys. They have Tatooine jackets, so you know they're serious. And the jackets say Tatooine in Arabesh. Beats the shit out of them, steals their motorcycles, wrecks a few. And that's one of the things, though, is you could go, oh, they might come back for their motorcycles, but most of those motorcycles, I think, got trashed. I don't know how many motorcycles there really are at the end of that to get back.
So I'm so glad, by the way, they could have took the real stupid way out and done the Pee Wee Herman knock over all the bikes gag, right? I was afraid that was going to happen.
Now that you said it, I wish I had 2 sets of bikes and he knocked one down and took the other side.
Well, it's in Smokey and the Bandit too, where he rolls over the bikes, right? Like, but all the bikes gag, you know, he did time he stole all the bikes, which is a newer. I haven't seen anyone ever steal all the bikes before, right? I mean, horses, but not the bikes,
right? So okay. So do you think they are going that they are going to get back into a fight with those guys, or do you think those guys have served their function? I mean,
I thought they served their function. I believe my fan math guess, so this is 50-50, right? Is that Bib Fortuna is directly or indirectly responsible for the fate of the Tusken tribe in some way, or members of the Tusken tribe.
And I would even throw in there that before this time too, Boba's he doesn't really give a shit about imperialism. He's either is politically corrupt or apolitical in general, as far as his intellectual prowess goes with what he will do. He will work for Darth Vader and the Empire. He doesn't care all these years. But then he helps Grogu and goes up against the Empire. And does that matter? Does that maybe perhaps hint that the Imperial remnant ends up on Tatooine for a time and maybe wipes out the Tuskens or something too?
Well, the change we've seen in Boba, that we've seen in Mando, from say the Boba Fett we've seen before, is the Boba Fett we've seen before is a guy who goes, pay me more credits, I'll do more work. In Mando, he goes, no, I said I had a word, and my word is my bond, and I'm here to fulfill the contract until my word. He doesn't give a shit about money. It's about his honor and code at that. And I don't think he had an honor or code previously before that. You see what I'm saying?
He probably
so
had.
we're seeing how he gains.
Probably his dad probably told him do the job, and probably his code was only about finishing the contract.
Right. And we're seeing
not
how
over his employers and stuff like that, getting a bad rep and that way, right? But politically, I mean, his dad's working for Darth Tyrannus during the Republic to bring about the fall, to bring about the fall of a democratically elected government, and he doesn't give a shit. Like, I mean, that's one thing to remember about Jango and Boba is that that's where they get to really make the difference. And thanks for joining us again, Dave. Dave says those guys and the train guys got to retaliate. So the
Pikes, I imagine. I have again. The Pikes are different than the Nikto gang. Now, will the Nikto gang and the Pikes team up?
Remember that thing I noticed though, that the train conductor is drawn on the bikes.
I don't know if that's a train conductor, but I'll take.
Yeah, you weren't convinced. I to me it looked like the train conductor was drawn on the bikes, which made me.
But why do you stamp with the train conductors? And I take stamps on the side of something to.
Maybe they're muscle.
I take stamps.
Yeah.
Okay. I take stamps on the side of something to be the old World War II meaning where you stamp it because you murdered a bunch of things, right? Remember they would stamp them on the sides of planes?
Yeah.
And they would do it in every cartoon.
So are you telling me there's a dead train conductor out there? Another one?
Yeah, I am. I think Star Wars still borrows from those old goofy tropes, you know? So I don't know about that. Will the Pikes? I gotta think the Pikes. Well, Pikes or the Neat. I'm gonna say no on number 6.
Yeah, I think the Pikes are going to be pissed off, but being able to buy no Tusken interference on the route, or maybe even on the planet in the end, I don't know. But anyways, a large no Tusken interference is a pretty good. That's a very stable route now, and I think that they may not like Boba, they may not be a fan, they may be waiting to stab him in the back the first chance they get. But I think they might take that deal, because most likely those train guys go back to their bosses, who then they probably get the shit kicked out of them for failing, but also realize that those guys are a bunch of losers. We're going to have to take this or do it ourselves. These guys are the ones we hired to handle it. And
but if Bib Fortuna sanctions the Pikes to murder a bunch of Tuskens, then Boba realizes that he needs to kind of be in control of the area to stop that kind of shit from happening. So there's.
Here's
it's complex.
Yeah, no. I think you bring up a good point. I mean, but if we're going to overthink it, which is why we're here, killing Bib Fortuna. Are there any ramifications for it? I mean, to go and kill anybody in that position, you would need permission, is kind of, at least to kill a Hutt, you would. And so he goes up and he kills them. And I'm kind of wondering if in the end he does end up kind of getting these disparate Tatooine factions sort of somewhat under his control at the low level. We're talking Tusken Raiders is pretty much the bottom rung of the social hierarchy of Tatooine, and then the bikers,
Jawas.
At the end of the day, the bikers are also very low rung. I mean, they're essentially just guys selling meth on the street, right? They're just moving meth at the end of the day. Like that's what bikers are doing. The Hells Angels types are just really, really low rung criminals in the big picture, but organized. But still, I mean, he could get on the counter with the white shoes and do the dance, and they might like him. Though, dude.
Peter Griffin's like, wow, wow, wow.
But you know what I mean. So okay.
Surf and burn.
Yeah. So we're going with no, right? They're not really.
I'm saying no.
Yeah, I feel like it seems unlikely. I also feel like if Boba took that whole gang on by himself, that gang and that Tuscan lady, they're just gonna murder that gang unless they do something real.
They're picking on Wimpy and Cammy. You know what I mean? Like they're not.
Yeah, they're fucking tucking Cammy's boyfriend is what they're doing.
If those guys could beat up Tuscan Raiders and get whatever they wanted, they would have been doing that to begin with. They're picking on, you know, like the Pong house, you know, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
you know, the Chuckle Hut, you know.
Yeah, they're taking they're like stealing free food and probably taking quarters out of the game machine at the end of the day. All right, so this one right here, I feel like is just who knows, man. The Bomar Monk
was
Jabba's palace.
Right. Was that a shot for the trailer, or is that the shot where we see Boba Fett sneaking up on the palace? I'm gonna say yes. I think that shot is intrinsically tied with Boba Fett sneaking up on Jabba's palace.
Well, we've had 2 episodes. We have what, 5 episodes left. So I think we have a 1 in 5 shot of this being right no matter what. And so
eventually.
Yeah, I mean, because it could just be an exposition shot of no significance whatsoever when you get down to it.
But this shot was in the initial trailer. So when we give Robert Rodriguez the benefit of the doubt of saying that every shot from the trailer, right? That that was not in anywhere near the first episode.
He's just full of shit or wrong. So but you feel like it's coming tonight?
I believe, I'll say because I think it's tied to him sneaking into the palace.
Yeah, on that one, I feel like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Honestly, I feel like that thing could just be put anywhere, and I wouldn't even be surprised if in reality the shot was like just created, and then unless it becomes some weird plot point, like we were talking about, they're going to put Jango Fett's brain in one and keep him alive.
God, I want Jango Fett's brain to Bomar Monk so bad.
I mean,
it's that right level of EU Lucas weirdness, you know.
yeah, and then
Disney Plus ruining Jango Fett putting his brain in Bomar Monk. Like, I just want that. I also want all those videos being made of brains in Bomar Monks and little Fett helmets, and I want the rage. I want the cosplay rage from guys showing up as Bomar Monks with Jango brains, and I just want so much.
I mean, it could. I mean, maybe he makes himself a new clone body and gets in it at the end of the day. I don't know. I doubt it. Okay, Boba and the Iran Corps. Now, one thing that or 2 things really quickly before I forget. I mentioned this on Star Wars Santa show. Remember, there was that shot of the Gamorrean guard getting decked by Fennec Shan. Just beat the shit out of it. Remember that? Just beat the shit out of that Gamorrean guard. Well, so that's either to come in a coming episode, or it's cut from when they first bring them in. So, do you think that, just a side prediction? Do you think that was a cutscene, or do you think that's still coming?
I think all that footage is being used. I don't think we're seeing any cut footage. I don't think these TV shows have the time. I mean, I listened to the interview, the Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith.
Mm-hmm.
Great podcast. He did an interview an hour long with the director of Hawkeye, who did the first episode and like the last 2, and kind of put a lot of the stuff together, right?
Yeah.
And he was trying to talk about a lot of bigger ideas for some of the sequences, and they were like, there's no time. Like even the Rogers scene that was filmed at the end, there was no time to ever come up with the second song, or so like to put whole sequences and then cut them out. I imagine there's takes, but I think that they figure out what they want in the animatic. Like Dave Klein was saying, and Kevin Smith was saying that every show is animatic out way before they ever start. I think they do their editing there, and there's some adjustments, obviously, because whenever you shoot something, you always get back what you want. But I think those reshoots are based on like either convenience, like can we do this, or would it be cool? Is there that opportunity? Or unless there's a giant clusterfuck and they have to rearrange something. But I think that footage is there somewhere. Yeah.
Right.
In this episode, though, I don't know. You know,
Do you think Boba's going to ride the Rancor in this episode?
No, I think that I put that at the end of the series for me.
You put that more and more on the back end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the visual effects, the amount of money they're gonna put a big spectacle at the end of this series.
Well, we are about. I mean, if we want to look at it, it's an odd number of episodes, but we are about the midpoint, and you do need a midpoint highlight. And the Rancor could be a midpoint highlight, but it could also be in the last episodes too. So.
I would definitely. So, given that it's a book scene, right? We started off with a sequel. That would be chapter 1, and then we had a scene, which is chapter 2. The scene would be the Boba Fett realize he has to kill those Hutts somehow in the modern timeline, right? And then in the flashback, he joins the tribe and he's one of the. So now we have to get the fallout of that, the sequel to those scenes, right? And then we have to do another setup, which is why that table would be a setup, which would be the scenes again. So we need the sequel moment next to follow that stuff up. I don't know if a Rancor ties into all that.
Well, and are we going with that background in the Scad and Drash shots? That's a Rancor destruction in the background, or are we just going with?
We're just assuming that that's what would cause a ton of destruction. But for all I fucking know, with the way these shows, it could just be him driving a pod,
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But sure, we'll assume,
Matt, I don't think Bespin said how long, which is my guess is that they don't know how long, but he is correct, by the way. What he says is totally true. So, not for what it's worth a lot, actually. Okay.
I think we're more likely to get some Trandoshan stuff in this episode somehow.
Yeah.
Just because we keep seeing, you get the one Trandoshan in the first episode, and then all those Trandoshans are giving them the evil eye in the second episode.
Well, we do know, and we do know that they're sitting down at that table in the fourth episode, and that had dog people, the Barada people, the Nictus, and those guys. So I'm thinking, kind of lining up with you, that if Meg says that's in episode 4, in episode 3 we probably have conflict, and then they're forced to sit down by episode 4 and squash.
Fun fact,
right?
Star Wars dominoes, it's little pieces of carbonite with little things stuck in it. Right? It's true. That's how they play dominoes in Star Wars.
Okay, so all right, so we're saying Boba won't ride the Rancor tonight, and then we see the Vespa swoop bike chase through Mos Espa with Scad. And do you think we're going to meet Scad and Drash tonight?
This man, they gotta. That's so weird because but this isn't about meeting Scad and Drash. This is that Vespa swoop bike chasing through Mos Espa.
Sure.
I think we got to meet these characters sooner than later, man. This is for us to give. I'm gonna say no on this one.
You're gonna say no, though,
because we just had a giant chase sequence. I don't think they're gonna put two sequences right next to one another.
Well, here's the thing, though: is if you're gonna introduce, I mean, that did look like it was somewhere around an introduction of the characters, like that shot, the lingering on him and stuff like that. Like I feel like they would do that. They would introduce them in a chase in a fun way if they're even important. And if that one leak is true, then it's going to be a major introduction. But if it's not, no. But Robert Rodriguez did tweet out, "This is a cool new character." Actually, I forgot that on Star Wars Center show today. That should have shut down half of the things we talked about. But
I'm willing to accept that this might be the worst predictions. I feel like we're trapped with these predictions. I feel like we're a little trapped because of that episode 4 with the dinner scenes. It's you're trying to do that, a little bit of fan wiggle mad. You're like, I don't know how's it fit in there. It feels like, in a crossword puzzle where you got that one word that doesn't quite fit with the 3 other words. You're trying to figure it out. That's why I go, well, this episode has to have a bunch of weird shit that they haven't shown yet, and we couldn't predict. Like, who was going to predict a Harryhausen sand monster? You know, like,
right.
So I'm assuming this is where he in the modern area, he has to figure out who to talk to about the Hutts, or he has to work with some boss Transodoshan Dengar bounty hunter thing, you know, that we haven't really thought about yet. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and we are kind of moving. Like I said, we are about to hit around the midpoint. I feel like episode 6 and 7 are ultimately going to culminate into really being one big episode. I'm assuming, and so I do feel like we are about to hit the midpoint tonight. So we see a flashback scene. So it's either you believe flashbacks are done. We know flashbacks aren't done because he hasn't said goodbye to the Tuskens, however that goes, and that has to happen. And that could only happen in a flashback scene.
I think this whole series could go the Lost route, where at some point you're seeing fast forwards, you know what I mean, versus flashbacks.
Yeah,
like fet forwards instead of fet backs, right? Like to be less raises towards Mandos, but but where you can see a Boba way in the far future, you know, like and you're like, how does he get there? I could see them going that route.
Yeah. All right, so Din Djarin cameo.
No.
I'm gonna say no, but it does seem like when he gets the armor back, he just kind of shows up with Slave One. So they have wiggle room with Slave One. He could get the Slave One back well before he gets the armor back, but it does kind of. But at some point, those things it is implied those things go kind of together. Like, it would be kind of weird to go to Jabba's palace, get Slave One, but not kill Bib.
I don't know if the Jabba's palace thing is to get Slave One. I think that's something he sees and is reminded of his old life, but he's on a different mission. If I had to put money on it, you know what I mean? Like, what if one of the biker dudes they don't attack, but what if they steal the Tusken kid and take him to Bib Fortuna? You know what I mean? For whatever stupid reason, or shut it, throw him in the hole. True. We'll hold them here until these cats come to us and pay their tribute. If they're not going to be a tribe anymore, they're going to be out raiding something, they owe me tribute, kind of like move. That means like we've ignored these nomadic sand people because they don't do anything, but now they're costing us money. Well, now if you're going to be like stealing things, you owe me, right? And then so they take the kid, and then he's got to go get the kid, and he sees a ship, kind of thing,
Yeah, it's like a part of me is like there's something that may just be a footnote to everything about Bib Fortuna, but like where they just put it, oh well, here, that explains it in some book or something. But it's like Bib Fortuna is in that seat for like 5 years. He gets killed, and then Boba's the new guy in town, and then nobody talks about Bib Fortuna. People still talk.
But I'm saying, Jabba. What is the sequel? What is the sequel? When I say a sequel, what is the fallout from a scene? So we saw a scene where the Tuskens and Boba Fett stole a grip of shit from the Pikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the sequel to that, if the fallout, the consequences of that move is, well, we got the trade route, we're good. That is not a very well written. The sequel could be, oh, there's a bigger player. Who owns these territories? There's always a bigger fish, right? To quote Qui-Gon Jinn, and James, you'll be happy. And the bigger fish is the daimyo of this area. Who's the daimyo? Well, now it's Bib Fortuna, right? Maybe when he first started out, right? Like, it's just he's the one. We see him a little. He's not as fat, right? He just took over, and he's like, hey, I'm the daimyo. If you guys are going to be out here doing gangster shit, now you owe me tribute. Because we just seen 2 shows where people have to pay the daimyo tribute. And now, how would Boba learn all that? Well, now we learned that they didn't do that. You know what I mean? And that there's consequences for those actions. That would be anything. If I'm a writer, and I'm planning out sequels, and I'm looking at what we've already written, that has to happen. Like something like that sort of event has to occur for the story. Good news, bad news. Good news, you fucking got all this cool shit. Bad news, you actually now you owe some of that to the local warlord, and you don't have any of it, or you don't feel you have to because and you caused the Tuscans more trouble than they thought you were worth. So good news, bad news day, and that's why I think the Slave One is just. It's like a fake out, right? When you see that shot, you think I must be there to get my ship, but I don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah. I mean, because like Dave points out, he doesn't think we get Slave One until Fennec gets saved by him. So in his estimation, so is Boba just out there with the? I mean, he's out there with the Tusken Raiders for a long time. I think that's going to be accurate. But is he? When he saves Fennec, is he just still with the Tuskens at that point? Because he very well may be. I mean, there's always a chance the Tuskens don't have a bad end. You know what I mean? That he just like goes like, I have to go on now and finish what your little lizard told me I need to like do for my path.
Or they respect him, but they banish him to get trophy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we respect you, but so long as you're with us, you cause this trouble. You have to go on your own. And so he takes what he learned and then becomes his own person out there in the desert or whatever.
It is badass.
Look, at some point, he has to learn how to shove a carburetor into someo's gut.
Yeah.
He has to make friends with that person, which I think is more. I don't think he did the shit himself. I don't, who else is he like fixing up? And he would fix himself, right? If he could. Mm-hmm. Like, he would just shove himself full of gear and he'd be like, I'm now droido fit, So I gotta wonder,
Yeah, because a part of me just wonders why he doesn't just get the Tusken Raiders and go to Mos Pelgo, sneak attack, get his armor back, and take that there.
Because he's running. To him, that life is dead. We've seen that. Like in the flashback, his mindset is, I'm no longer that person. I'm someone new. That person died in the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
To him at that point. So, look, it hasn't been sold as well. I think that's my complaint about the first episode. I'm not saying it had to be as long as it wasn't that Tales from, what was the Tales of the Bounty Hunters of Boba Fett, where it was like 40 pages of Boba Fett stuck on the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it has to be that long, but making the case very clearly that whoever he was before died in that pit, and now he has to be someone new, versus just thematic visual
language. Yeah, and the problem is that we don't really know who he was before.
Correct.
So that's what makes it where like they wanted to leave it open so that way you could fill in what he was. They don't want to step on any toes. That's what I feel like is happening there. Like I think it's a little bit of a psychological game, and then it's in the end revealing a weakness of the structure of the story.
It's fine. It's it's whatever.
So we both.
I've seen far worse in the Batman movies where they just allude to his parents being murdered. Oh well,
Well, and then so like let me ask you this: do you think we're going to see him save Fennec? Do you think they're going to go as far as to let us go in sideways to Mando and like show how he saves her? Do you think they're going to bother with that and her development
in this episode
or in this season? No, in this season, I'd say.
In this season. If we see that, it has to be juxtaposed against them not getting along. Like, they have to be in the real timeline. There has to be a rift between them, so then we can go back and see how he saved, her, kind of thing. Like that contrast. It'd be weird. It wouldn't be as engaging to see a storyline in which they're getting along, and then we also see how he saved her. Like, you need sweet with sour, my friend.
Right. Okay, what's the next one? All right, so Luke Skywalker cameo. I don't even feel like entertaining this one. Do you?
No. Bad form, Santa.
Well, it's because it's rumored.
Okay, Grogu. No.
Grogu, and I'm gonna say Grogu and Din will probably come in the same episode when we go sideways to that at one point, and I feel like that could. I don't know. With episode 4, it's hard to figure out where that goes. Cobb Vanth cameo at some point.
No.
That seems completely possible that he's going to figure out where his armor is, and that's the thing. Like what was like Joel. Oops, the thing just jumped on me. Joel pointed out that Mos Pelgo has a different Tusken tribe, plus it's all the way around the planet.
Sure, but we have to deal with the consequences in the flashback, and so if there's consequences, and then okay, now what do you do? Well, my solution to that is to get my armor back. Do you see what I mean? That like, if you plan this out as a quest in an RPG, I need to have some ramifications for the decisions I made before, and now I need to go on a quest to get the thing to help me solve that problem.
Yeah,
there's no point for him to get. He just put on the robes. Why would he go get armor? Like, there needs to be a reason for that. Like,
and then I'm gonna say to like Dave like mentioned Afra and stuff like that. I would say though, if we're gonna play, Occam's razor here, Fixer and Cammy could be the people who get them. You know what I mean? Like Fixer.
Yeah, I don't think Dr. Afra's in this series at all.
If they even come back, and then
I would like to see them come back in some way. Like honestly, like it would be a shame if those characters are just there for member berries and like anyone could have been in that scene,
Yeah.
Like the fact that he helps them, if they're able to help him, like, hey, is his name Fixer?
Yeah.
Holy shit. What if he's the one who fixes Fennec? Fixer.
Right.
He was like, actually, I've been keeping Cammy's. You know how tight she is now? Because I don't know. I've been giving her new It's such a bad joke.
I'm just saying.
His name is Fixer, though. But his name is Fixer. Like, why would they put a character's name Fixer in a show? Look, weird call. I'm going to say Fixer is the one that helps Boba fix Fennec Shand.
Yeah. Well, do you think that's happening in this next episode?
Or no, but okay. I'm saying that
so I'm with you. So let's save that for one of the next predictions at the end, where you can write in whatever you want. We'll write in that Fixer's gonna be the one who fixes what's her name? Fennec. All right. So Cobb Vanth. I do think this is probable. And do we think Cobb? But where would be the most probable time to meet Cobb in a flashback?
Episode 4.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Dr.
There has
Afra.
To be consequences in for the actions, and I don't see them doing consequences and quest in the same episode. Not at the pace they're moving.
Yeah, we both agree that Dr. Afra is likely not coming now. At some point, sure, but not now.
We're likely to see. Yeah, okay. I'll save that prediction for later. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when they put Black Santa in there. That's what I call him, Black Santa, and they they put him in there. You don't got to put every friend and every person he's ever worked with, every work associate ever. I think he's enough. All right, so the Kira cameo. See, with Kira, I feel like I want it to happen. And that's what's clouding my judgment. And I always say that piece of music might not be the Crimson Dawn leitmotif, but it may actually be the Underworld leitmotif musically. And so with that put, kind of like, I don't know if we ever even are going to see Kira, but I think it's about, and I think if we do see Kira though, I think we see Cad. I think Cad and Kira go together almost in a way, but I guess you.
Yeah, I'm saying no to Kira and no to Cad.
No to Kira, no to Cad now.
Yeah,
because we know that it.
I don't think we see Cad until the Filoni episode.
Yeah, and Cad
appears.
That's episode 6. I think we're going to see him introduced before he does something though, and so that's the whole question.
No, I don't know about that. Like, I mean, to spoil Hawkeye, they didn't reveal the Kingpin stuff until the episode, the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Every time I use that word now, I know I'm just kidding that. Why could I do that?
Dave says whoever fixes Fennec has to have some upper level Imperial type of tech.
Fixer.
We don't really. I mean, Cammy's hanging out.
He's not a fighter.
He's hanging out with Fixer, and he's not kicking ass. So she's not with it because he kicks ass. He's got a. I mean,
his name is Fixer. Guys, like it just dawned on me, like he doesn't get. He has to fix things.
And he took her to Space Olive Garden. You saw it. Like he has money, man.
Oh man, I wish they would just recreate that and only serve Olive Garden at Galaxy's Edge. That'd be worth risking pandemic for. Like, you know, I do want to eat Space Olive Garden at Space Olive Garden.
I don't care how bad it is. Olive Garden's great. All right. The Hutt twins are in the episode.
Yes.
You think so?
Sure.
Because a part of me, hear me out here for a second. A part of me thinks that it would be a good organizational idea to introduce the Hutts in episode 2, send out the threat, let you forget about it in 3, then bring it back in 4. But in 4, if the dinner table scene happens there, is that where they're getting permission to kill them? Is that where they're organizing and saying, okay, you can kill it? Because I mean, we do know that they are just trying to simply get in line and make a little team there. But could you?
Okay, what is the scene we saw was the Hutts appearing, telling Boba Fett,
watch where you sleep, or
that we own this shit, you don't, but we're gonna give you some time to think about it, right? So we don't have to fucking murder your ass and start a war here in Mos Espa, right? We don't want that. Then they take off. Boba then has to blah, 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 blah. And then he gives them, no, I'm not going to do that. And then they have to look at the Special K, you know what I mean? And it's like, all right, you know, now it's on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So if they, I think if they are like the main sort of hurdle he has to get over, then that does play out.
He has to reject their offer the second time.
Yeah.
For the fight to occur. And it may be that he gained confidence. Other people are like, I really like how you stood up to the Hutts. You know? I hope it isn't that. But you know, you know.
Well, I mean, I also think that I think getting those people together is about showing the Hutts you can't just come and take whatever you want. There's going to be a price to pay if you try. So
there is a brave version of this show where he kills these Hutts in this next episode. And that's why he's able to have such a lavish dinner scene in episode 4 with all the, you know, I don't think so. I don't think they would do that, but I think the Rian Johnson version here is that he has Boba just off him. And he's like, you know what? Or maybe he ignores Fennec's, you know, whatever. And he just like, I don't need permission. I'm the guy, you know, I'll just do whatever. But I doubt that, you know, but that would be that whole writing yourself into a corner bit, you know?
Yeah. Dave, I agree with your logic, but Star Wars Meg, who I trust, says that's episode 4. And that makes me think there's just some left turn that we can't guess. That makes it, you know? So, okay. So do you think Crimson Dawn will be mentioned?
I think the Crimson Dawn is a giant red herring.
Yeah.
Get it? Crimson, red, whatever.
Yeah. No, I think so too. I mean, right now, like, I almost feel like if Crimson Dawn and Kira show up, it almost has to be like how do you raise the stakes all of a sudden? So you have like Boba overcoming all this stuff and you feel like he's done it and he's there. And then here comes the bigger fish. And that could be Crimson Dawn.
He needs the brave version of the show, Jason, is that he kills the Fets. I mean, the Hutts. He kills the Hutts. The thing with Special K is either a draw or a Boba win, right? And then you're like, oh, I got it down. But guess what? There's always a bigger fish. Now you got Crimson Dawn and Cad Bane.
Yeah.
And, you know, the chickens have come home to roost. You see what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that does allow for Black Santa to not die. Because it's going to be kind of lame on one hand if he has the big fight, like nobody dies in that fight, you know. But then when you have Cad Bane show up, then it does happen, you know. that may go that way too. All right. So your guess, something in this episode, must be a legitimate guess, no freebie. And when he says that, he means like you can't say Boba Fett's going to take his helmet off, because of course he's going to take his helmet off. It has to be like something actually like with substance to it, you know. And
my guess is exactly what I sort of pieced together, not unintentionally, is that the repercussions that the Tuscan kid will be, you know, they owe the daimyo for their heist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't pay it, and there's problems with that, you know.
So we're gonna say Bib Fortuna complications for Tuscans.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I guess if that's
is that the best way.
My answer requires, you know, explanation, but I'm not using my explanation to get out of being wrong. Like if I'm wrong, I'll just take the wrong, you know. But Bib Fortuna complications means fallout. Yeah. For complications, fallout from the. Yeah, they owe tribute. They stole. Look, anytime in a gangster show, if you steal, like even like Breaking Bad, if you steal a bunch of drugs and you don't pay you don't pay Tuco his share, Tuco coming for you. You know, like they gotta do that, right? Like that has to. So.
All right, so Making Star Wars an A-hole are submitting. I don't think Star Wars Santa is going to show A-hole. He doesn't have to. Don't worry about it. I'm sure he doesn't care. He just won't do it. But don't feel like you have to, Santa. We see the Slave One. Yes. Someone says Jabba. No. Dinner episode. We say no. Nikto gang attacks Boba's Tuscan tribe. We're saying no. Bomar Monk. We're saying yes. Boba rides a Rancor. We're saying that's not yet. So we see the swoop fight with Sked and Drash. We're saying no. We see a flashback scene. We're saying yes. Din Djarin cameo. We're saying not yet. Luke Skywalker. We're saying no. Grogu cameo. We're saying no. And in fact, I actually got to roll it back though. Starting to start where Santa said that that is about giving people a freebie, but Han Solo was the rumor. So Han Solo really, this one needs to go probably soon, and Han Solo should probably, or Luke or Han, they should share it or something.
I don't think Luke or Grogu are in any of this stuff.
Well, at some point,
Grogu's in it. It's like some weird flashback.
No, it is. No, for sure, it will be. We will get up to Fennec being restored, and then we will get to him, and then we will get to him going all the way to taking the palace, and then into the final story, I think. So I think we're going to see a sideways of Mandalorian season 3 for sure. So I think Cobb Vanth, Grogu, and Din Djarin are all coming. To what extent is up for complete debate? You know what I mean? But I do think that it has to tell his story, and I don't think they're just going to jump and go watch Mandalorian season 2, come back. I think they'll tell it from Boba's perspective in its own way. Sure, probably briefly, maybe. But I don't know. I mean, who knows? Dr. Afra, we're saying no. Kira, we're saying no. Cad Bane, not yet. We're saying the Hutt twins, yeah. Crimson Dawn, no. And that Bib Fortuna complications for the Tuscans. So, all right. So we're submitting. It is done. We have done it. Now we either become champions or failures. So, all right. Peter Griffin thinks that the flashback will reveal that Burger King owns Boba a life debt from way back. Burger King, life debts. Sorry, I can't help myself. Dave says that's a lot of meat for episodes that are left, especially if it's only half an episode. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it's definitely hard to pull out what's going to be going on here, you know. Yeah, are we gonna, as Peter says, are we gonna end up on Santa's Wall of Fame or Wall of Shame? Nobody knows. But and then without knowing more things to put in there in the order, it makes it really hard to figure out. So tomorrow Santa's going to score them on his show. So make sure. So stay up with us tonight if you got it in you, and then in the morning, check out Star Wars Santa Show, and you'll see the results and how we did. And then we will probably do a show tomorrow. I mean, unless the episodes really sucks, and we're just like, whatever, man, we stayed up. Yeah, it sucked. All right, well, then we'll probably just do that. But
you'll know I thought it really sucked when I go, I'm out. I don't even talk.
Peace. Good night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that as the show goes on, it's just going to keep getting better. I also think that I wouldn't be surprised if the last 2 episodes by Rodriguez were like a really rad movie all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like a really rad, like culminating film, because of the amount of screen time that is being put to it. So I expect it to pick up considerably. But yeah, but make sure you guys go and fill it out as well. You know, fill out the form if you want. I think you should.
I want to end on this. My 2 cents on this. When it comes to things happening, I don't care about plot. Matter of fact, I don't think plot even matters at the end of the day. I don't need a show where and then he gets that and then up there and then they come in and that. I don't need any of that. All I'm interested in is that whatever the characters are doing is that I'm right there with them and I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Right. And a good example of this would be there's an anime called Haikyuu where they play volleyball. Right. It's teenage volleyball. Right.
We love teenage volleyball.
And a whole match can go 4, 5, 6 episodes. Okay. Like half a season. All right. But you're there for every turn and move set. It's not about plot. It's about the character's experience and playing the game and everything that's going on with them and you experiencing that with them and their losses and their wins literally on both sides of the court. It doesn't make villains out of the opposing team, doesn't make heroes out of the protagonist team. Although you will root for one or the other, or sometimes I root for both. Like you get both sides. They do a good job of sometimes these characters are selfish, sometimes they're not. But I feel like that's a really good example for showing someone a story in which plot is irrelevant. What is the plot? They win the match. They don't win the match. You see what I mean? What's important is that you are feeling the journey that they're on. And I feel in that respect, the reason why I responded to episode 2 more than episode 1 is I felt I was on that journey with Boba Fett and the Tusken Raiders. It wasn't that it was a cool train scene. Oh, we got a heist scene. Oh, I don't care about all that. I felt I was there with them on that journey. And I brought it again. It's the shot that gets me the most is when Boba Fett falls on the side of the train and there's that low camera. They got it low and they're trucking right in on him. And you're that is a moment of transference in that where I feel I am now Boba. I am there and now I'm getting up and I'm with them. And I haven't felt that from this character almost ever. I thought I would get it in the first episode in the pit, but it didn't happen. There it happened. So all I'm looking for in these episodes is that level of transference moment, those moments where I feel I am Boba Fett on this journey, you know. And if it's low stakes, fine. If it's big stakes, fine. I don't care one way or the other.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch the second episode. I might watch the first 2. I don't know, but I'm probably gonna watch the second episode again one last time. Let's just put it on before, just so that way I feel like the momentum of where it's at. Because sometimes when you watch things week to week, that's something that I feel like oftentimes hurts shows. You know, that forward momentum that the show actually has gets lost when you step away for a whole week and come back. So I'm gonna try that just for myself.
Lost is a great example of that.
Yeah,
season 2 where they kind of dragged it out a bit because they didn't know where they were going. People felt this taking forever, but then when you watch it, if you ever watch season 2 on your own, you're like, it's not a big deal. You know, we're out of here in like 6 episodes, but
and in the end, you end up kind of appreciating some of the character moments. At least I did it anyway. But Dave,
right, because you get so much plot later on in the show, you get none of those character moments, right?
Yeah. So Dave says that he's in COVID quarantine. Thanks for giving me some entertainment. Yeah, dude. I number one, thank you for being in quarantine and actually like doing it, not just being an asshole who's like, oh, I feel okay. Oh, everything's going to be fine. So good on you on that. Thanks, dude. And but check out Star Wars. If you haven't checked out Star Wars Santa's show, it's good, wholesome fun. We go in there and mess with it, try to make it not wholesome. But Santa doesn't allow it. He keeps it on the track.
I don't. I would respect the rules.
Yeah,
when you're in Santa's workshop.
You need to go on Santa's workshop with me one of these Mondays when you're up.
Or when I'm at McDonald's. Like I told you, if I had to go back to Christmas of 85, 86, whenever it was 86, right? Was when the Santa Claus. I would love to go back there and go to a McDonald's with Santa Claus the movie and then go to Toys R Us. That would be how I would waste my one-shot DeLorean trip.
Yeah.
So.
Star Wars Santa is I know he's on YouTube. I don't know if he goes onto Facebook or not, but he uses the same service I use, so he could be. I hope he is, but I don't know about Star Wars Santa. If you're here, let Dave know. But yeah, I always watch him. I usually watch stuff on YouTube, so that's where that's where I watch him. So, but. And on Twitter, you can find him on Twitter too. He might have links to all the stuff there. But if Star Wars Santa isn't on Facebook, he should be broadcasting to Facebook, because why wouldn't he? You know, that's what I say, anyways. But yeah, Star Wars Santa on YouTube is the easiest way. And so, wait, did he say it? Yeah, he says I used to Facebook, but don't stream to it. Maybe I should. Yeah, I mean, you might as well. There's really no loss to it. I mean, you know, you get good, nice cats. Like
Red hats are always welcome on Facebook. No. Sorry.
Yeah, make the North Pole great again is what I always say. But but yeah. So, anyways, yes. But check out Star Wars Santa. He'll have the results, and we will probably talk about our results tonight to some degree at some point, which is in the middle of the night, obviously. So I don't blame anybody for not staying up, but if you do, you know what, Peter, what's strange, man, is that we would stream to it. I'm streaming to my Twitter account. A lot more people there for me, so it works. But Twitch, I don't know how you get people to watch a show like this on Twitch. We would get like a bunch of spam and like one person sometimes. They'd be like, "What's going on in here? This is weird," and then they just leave. I don't understand it. We just got no cross traffic from Twitch, so I feel like maybe the Twitch frontier has closed down. But I only have a business account for Coming to Town, my Santa business, and my personal Facebook page.
We have the wrong name for a show for Twitch. It should be like Star Wars Andy. You know what I mean? or Hog Wars.
I have an idea. Maybe we could start doing Twitch again. Like I'll put these on, and I'll be like in a bath. I'll be like, "Hi boys, I'm just rubbing myself down with my little Yoda cat ears on. Do you like it when I do that? Give me money."
I need a big table full of food where I just eat. I don't even talk. I just eat the whole time.
Who wants to watch like Top Chef or something while I stream it illegally?
And all of our thumbnails are like,
Book a Boba on here.
Star Wars predictions.
Yeah, right. Was
it when the girls go? They do the cross-eyed thing. It's all popular now. The cross-eyed.
Oh man. Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, Peter, I am sending Dave a couple gallons of my bath water. It's not selling too well, so I'm gonna give him a couple. It's supposedly a cure for something. I don't want.
You know, if you pee in the shower, it also cures COVID.
We're gonna end up with one.
That's how we get that moniker on.
Yeah,
that's how. Because I made a bathwater joke. Drinking bathwater does not.
That our UFO episode ended up getting, because I called it a UFO crash, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know it was a UFO? Here's the Wikipedia." That was weird. Like
that's how you know UFOs are real. That's how you know.
And then Mike Zero is just over here going, Jeff Bridges is Luke Skywalker pulling down Star Destroyers, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. You could." I mean, I know that's not real, but it's just like, come on, like, where's the fucking line? I mean, if you're, you know, it should. I mean, there should be like a wiki for Mike Zero of all the fake shit he said, and it should just come up on there every single time. But yeah, he tried the shower thing. It didn't work.
We could just report or post his news, and we could do we got the zeroed. Yeah. You know, I mean, like, and it's just all the zero stories. You know, zero content, zero stories with zero content. Right? We got this zero.
How about we do the thing? I have the cat ears. We do this with Tide Pods in our mouth.
Would that Red Letter's gonna be like, you guys are just trying too hard to be us now. You know?
Right.
Right. You know?
I like when Star Wars fans get mad at Red Letter Media and they're like, they're not funny. And I'm like, it's almost the only thing that they are to me. I don't really agree with a lot of their takes, but they're hilarious. I don't really get it, you know.
Funny is they're even funnier when they're not doing the jokes. Like I thought one of the funniest things they ever did was we were doing that Star Trek game, like Schmodown kind of thing as a goof, but he's rattling off all these Star Trek questions, and the dude knows so much fucking Star Trek, he can finish them, like, and he's finishing almost too fast, and it's comically funny when you go that fast, like, and he's wearing the stupid outfit, and the other guy doesn't know anything.
I saw one episode where he goes to do it, and he goes to do like the Schmodown thing, but then it's David Lynch instead of Star Trek.
Yeah,
that was great.
It's great.
Yeah.
Great. I just like it when they're sitting there talking about movies, like when it's like they could talk about Critters 2 for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
and it's just them talking about, you know, that's because I'm like, that's my kind of thing, you know. I dig that, no frills.
I mean, we obviously clearly diverge, at least I do, with them on Star Wars. Like and in some ways, I don't think that they get where it does work for audiences and what that means. But at the same time, like when you get into everything else, like when that one dude, the blonde guy, is talking about David Lynch, or they're bringing up Critters, and I could do Toxic Avenger, like that's where I really meet up with those cats, you know.
Or I think the take would be, or my take on it would be, when you have interesting or sound like not advice, but like solutions to problems you perceive, like, oh, we're lacking a protagonist. Oh, we're lacking key character things. And then your solution is to bring in someone who you think has done it before in the past, that you think that person would then solve all those problems. And then they don't. Like the answer when they were going over the Phantom Menace and the prequels was get someone like JJ to reboot it. You know, get Jay, he's really good at it. And then JJ does come in and reboot all of it, and it doesn't give you what you thought JJ was going to give you. Like, it's just not as simple as that sort of thing.
Well, you know, like, I had a thought today when you were talking about Solo, and I was like, there's like this way that things are watched. Like what you were saying about Solo, I couldn't refute what you were saying because you were talking about yourself for the most part, but also because like the things that you were saying did pretty much ring true to me about like about the emotional impact of Solo. But in a weird way, there's this part that as a really hardcore Star Wars fan, that when that stuff is going on, there's an emotional resonance that's going on with me about learning the history of something that I've cared about and wondered about way too much, that makes it work on a different level for a super hardcore fucking like obsessed fan. And that's where it's really weird. It's like, and I don't even know, I don't think that like that level has necessarily been taken apart yet, and about how things work on different levels for that way. Like, the general.
But we have talked about the world building for the show in terms of its puppetry and all the stuff going on. Is fantastic. I feel like it has its own look that it's the World War I like era of Star Wars in a way to me, even though it's, you know, the Empire era is supposed to be World War II, but it feels more like World War I in some ways, where they have these frontline battles going on all over the place, but then there's this normal shit happening in the world too. Like the whole galaxy wasn't consumed by the Imperial War. It's just these weird battles and fronts that occur on, you know, certain planets while everyone else is living their life. So it has its own universe. The problem I told you is I just don't feel that actor. I'm not saying the movie doesn't do things that are emotional, like when you lose the team and all that stuff. I'm just not feeling what the character is supposed to be feeling from the actor who's playing the character. You know,
I'm still not feeling Woody Harrelson putting that crew together. He lied to me.
I do feel Lando would fuck that robot. Like, I feel that Lando is like 100% into that robot.
Rob, I'm gonna be straight up with you right now, Rob. I'd fuck that robot too.
He's like, and the great part is the robot cleans up afterward. You know, it's a clean ship.
Yeah. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is hot. I think she's hot, and she has a nice voice.
I do feel that the scene where it's a small line, it's a very Liam Neeson moment, but when Kira says, you know, people do, she was that line. She says, people do things that they don't want to do. You know, they have to.
Everyone serves someone.
Everyone serves someone. The way she delivers it is very good. Like you read into that. And unfortunately, we never get to see it there. You know, it's like, well, it'll be later, Rob. Okay, whatever. But if she's part of the crew or part of the story, you know, it's one of those things. I just think it's one of those things where they did a lot and it would have been served by spreading it out. But you could see what happens when there's no right formula. You put everything into a movie. Sometimes it doesn't click with the audiences. You put nothing into a movie. Sometimes it does or doesn't. It's so weird. Movies are, was it Robert Meyer Burnett said, a movie is something everyone thinks they know how to make. And then when, you know, they're making it, very few people even know what they're doing. You know, even the people who've been doing it for years, you know.
George Lucas proves that. I mean, I love him. I love his movies, but yeah, I don't think things turned out always how he was expecting. I don't think anybody knows. Peter says aerial encounter, shock moment, V-shaped UFO flies above Airbus A23 passenger jet, in filmed video from plane's cockpit was the headline for it. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we literally watched that video on the last show.
Oh, is that the one?
That's what he's talking about. That's the one. It's great. That's why I'm laughing. Like, we watched it, Peter. We watched it in that video towards the end in the last UFO show where I saw it. And went, that looks amazing.
The one over Georgia. The one over Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That's a good one. Yeah, there's been a couple of good ones recently too. So, but we covered it, Santa. We hit it. Bespin was here. He was talking about how much he loved you and stuff. And he was like, why won't Santa just say he loves me? He's Santa. And I was just like, Santa, you weren't there, man. And then he's like, fine, dude. Krampus is cool. And he joined the game.
Santa had to eat his prunes or he gets Krampus. I was late to the show. Sorry.
That was a Dave Porter dad joke of the day. All right. Well, so anyways, well, rest up, dude. The best that you can. I'm going to try to do the same. And I will see you tonight after the episode.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Go over to Star Wars Santa's show. Watch that stuff if you haven't. Check out our friend Star Wars Meg. Be cool. And Dave, have a good time in quarantine. And also Eric Denton, everybody have a good time in quarantine. I'm sorry that's happening right now. It's crappy. But we'll see you guys tonight. And we got new Boba Fett. It's going to be fun. And be a Patreon subscriber and all that jazz. I'm not going to play the ad today because I'm lazy. Bye. Ooh.
It's not about spaceships.
Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.
It's not about spaceships.
Darth Vader will choke a bitch. Darth Vader will choke a bitch. Johnny just sent me